Hello and thank you for tuning in to this week's MacDesk Floor Report. I'm Rebecca Darst from the Market Access Center here at the New York Stock Exchange, bringing you the latest market action today, as we do every Thursday, direct from the trading floor. We're marking the vernal equinox today with modest declines in the major indices. We're down just about 100 points in the Dow, and that's 11.5 S&P points, with a number of push and pull levers moving stocks today. Asia Pacific stocks closed mixed to higher, with the Nikkei index leading the pack of gainers with a 1.3% advance. This came despite a record high trade deficit reading for Japan early this morning, marking the longest string of trade deficits in 30 years. Traders instead focusing on the first press conference by the new governor of the Bank of Japan, Haruhiko Kuroda. China released a better than expected manufacturing PMI reading this morning, but the Shanghai Composite Index closed with only a very small gain of 0.3%. European indices were lower. Let's count the reasons why. We had a string of manufacturing and services PMI numbers from France and Germany, the largest Eurozone growth drivers, with all four numbers falling short of expectations and dragging the Eurozone composite reading lower. And we've had a slew of headlines throughout the day out of Cyprus, putting varying degrees of pressure on the euro. The currency is newly off its intraday lows following reports from a state-run news agency that Cyprus Popular Bank is to be shut down. Which brings us to the U.S. pre-market, where several tech names were under pressure early on following Oracle's earnings report last night, which brought misses on the top and bottom lines and Q4 revenue guidance falling short of street expectations. Weekly jobless claims showed a slight increase to 336,000. That was still better than market expectations and marked yet another week below the 350K threshold, and putting the 4-week moving average at a 5-year low. At the top of the 10 o'clock hour, we had another slew of U.S. data points. The Philly Fed Manufacturing Index for March came in surprisingly positive, rising to a reading of +2 from a February reading of -12.5. Not a huge beat, but back in black, so to speak. And we had some surprisingly hale and hearty existing home sales for February, resales coming in at their best levels in 3 years. So today's been an interesting mix of bullish U.S. data points, some disappointing corporate news, and the floating headline risk emanating from Europe. With that in mind, it's not a surprise to see lighter activity from traders today. Volume in both listed stocks and options is coming in a little light, and volatility is pushing a little higher. The VIX is up around 4% to read just over 13. On a more upbeat note, we marked another successful IPO here on the floor this morning. This week has been the most active week of the year for new IPOs, and this morning marked the debut of ticker AVIV. This is a real estate investment trust specializing in the increasingly crucial market segment of long-term nursing care facilities. The 13.2 million share IPO priced at the high end of its range at $20, and at last print it was trading at $22.78, which is always great to see in a public debut. So congratulations and welcome to Aviv REIT. Let's take a look at the data points that will be moving next week's global markets. On Monday, March 25th, we've got March consumer confidence from Italy, February home loans data from the UK, and more macro data from the US with the February Chicago Fed National Activity Index and the March reading on the Dallas Fed, as well as earnings from Apollo Group and Dollar General. Tuesday brings the February reading on corporate service prices from Japan and March small business confidence. Hong Kong will release February trade balance data. France will release March consumer confidence data, and we'll have February retail sales from Germany. It's a heavy day of U.S. data with February durable goods, capital goods, January S&P Case-Shiller home price data, February new home sales, and March manufacturing data from the Richmond Fed. Earnings are light with just one report due out, this from SAIC. Midweek, we'll see Germany's April GfK Consumer Confidence Survey, March confidence data from the Eurozone, January industrial orders and retail sales from Italy, some final adjustments to the UK's Q4 GDP, current account, and total business investment reads, and here in the US, we'll have weekly mortgage applications and pending home sales. Earnings are due out from Red Hat and apparel maker PVH Corp. On Thursday, we'll be looking at February industrial profits year-to-date from China. Japan will release February retail trade and weekly foreign stock and bond buying. The UK will release its own March reading on consumer confidence and a January index of services. We'll get some March unemployment data from Germany. Canada will release its January GDP, February industrial production and raw materials price index, and we'll have the customary Thursday jobs data from the US, as well as a final read on Q4 GDP, personal consumption, core PCE, and Chicago Purchasing Manager and March Kansas City Fed readings. Earnings will be out from Mosaic, GameStop, and Affirmax. On Friday, U.S. markets will be closed for the Good Friday holiday, but there are still a number of global macro data points pending, including Japan's February jobless rate, household spending, national CPI, housing data, and construction orders. The U.S. will release February personal income and spending, as well as the March University of Michigan confidence data, and we'll have earnings from Kraft. We'll be watching all the action as it happens here on the trading floor. Until next week, I'm Rebecca Darst for the MacDesk Floor Report.